Gamer Network Radio.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a very, very, very special episode of Classic Lead, episode 25.
It's a big milestone for us. It's a big milestone.
It is. None of that cheesy crap that we did in episode 20. No reminiscing tonight. None, my friend. My name is Tony. I'm recording here with my friend Scott. How you doing tonight, Scott?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. I haven't been this excited for an episode since we did the first one, I think, maybe.
This episode is going to be meaty tonight.
It's chock full of beef like you've never believed.
Oh, man, it's going to be crazy. I'm so excited for our listeners to tune in and listen to episode 25. So let's get all the video game news. Let's get all of the thank yous, everything out of the way at the beginning. You want to do that?
Absolutely. Let's get to the meat of the episode.
Let's do that. So first of all, we want to thank Gooch and the Douchebag for allowing us to be on their latest podcast recording.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that all come about, Scott?
It was episode 34, so I do want to, before I get into how it all came about, if any of our listeners, I doubt there's very many, but if any of our listeners don't listen to Gooch and the Douchebag, please check out goochandthedouchebag.com. Douchebag is spelled D-O-O-S-H-E-B-A-G. The way that it came about is on episode 33, they were talking about Classic Elite, and they made a comment that they need to get us on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Then later they talked about Gooch getting his job promotion and having to travel for work up in Wisconsin, and he wasn't going to be available for a show. So I sent a note over to Gooch and DB and said, hey, Tony and I would love to be on the show, and if you need us for next week, we would love to be on to help you guys out. So DB wrote back and invited us on, and it is a Sonic Fest that was just fantastic. It was so much fun, and the conversation was really, really good. If you love Sonic, you'll love the episode. If you hate Sonic, you'll still like the episode because DB's awesome.
He is the man. So it was a lot of fun just to talk about Sonic, and it was great because we got to not only review Sonic 4 with them, but we also got to reminisce on some of our favorite Sonic parts from childhoods past. It was a good time. So thanks G and DB for having us on. You guys continue to rock, and we are your biggest fans, mainly because we probably are your biggest fans.
Quite literally.
But we also want to talk a little bit about our new review page, which is on YouTube. And Scott and I have been trying to get into the review scene for quite a while now, even though I guess I'm probably the one who's been trying to get into the reviews.
Yeah, this is your baby right now, the new YouTube page, and I'm very excited that you're doing it. So far, what I've seen, man, I'm very proud, and I'm excited to see another way for us to, and you in particular, a way for you to get out there and help get our name out there, and a chance for us to really talk about some other games, which is going to be really cool. So
yeah, it's Classic Lead all the way, so good stuff. But yeah, so we started, we finally released, we've been talking about it for 2 or 3 weeks, the review page. Mainly it's, I don't know what to call them. They're not really reviews, they're not really previews, they're more gameplay footage, and we try to keep them short and just talk a little bit about the game and some of the things we like, dislike, but not give you an impression that's really going to push you either way, but just kind of let you decide based upon what you see and hear. So we're excited about it, and we've had a few views already. So go to YouTube, search for Classic Lead, and it'll pull up our reviews. So
out of the 3 that you have posted right now, between the soccer game, the sandbox style game, and Spider-Man, which one are you the happiest with, I guess?
Spider-Man.
Dude, that game is sweet.
It is. So, and what Scott's talking about is I've mainly only done iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad games, mainly because there's tons of developers out there breaking into the market, and they've been kind enough to send us some of their games just to review. So we're open to reviewing any type of game. So Scott's helping me review Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
Man, is that game awesome. Now, I don't think I'm going to put anything up on YouTube because, well, one, I'm way behind the curve. I'm probably like 5 hours into the game now. And to go back and try to do some capture footage, just, I don't want to deal with it. But, man, do you remember how we mentioned that based on what you said, it sounds like a game that I would really like?
Yeah.
It is a game that I really, really like.
Well, I kind of tore it apart a couple weeks ago because we weren't really reviewing it. We were just kind of talking a little bit about what we had seen, some of the videos and some of the faults that we had seen. And from what Scott tells me, I don't know, was there a title update when you stuck it in?
A title update? Not that I noticed, no.
It didn't ask for an update. But, like, Scott hasn't experienced any of the slowdown and things like that a lot of the reviewers talked about. And he says it's a wonderful game.
Well, there's been a couple things with the slowdown. There have been times where it has slowed a little bit, but it felt intentional. So that it was a way to, almost like Matrix style, kind of like watch the move like really fully happen that you pull off. So it hasn't bothered me at all. The biggest thing is the gameplay works pretty well for me as far as the controls go. But man, is it gorgeous. The graphics are the best I've ever seen on a video game. Now, to be fair, I still am blown away by like Sonic and Super Mario Brothers, like Super Mario World. So you know, I'm not the best graphics judge out there, but as far as the visuals are concerned, it's way better than Halo Reach, and I can compare to that.
And I don't think Halo's ever been like the graphical setter, pace setter, but it's a good game. But yeah, and we both agree on that.
Yeah.
But I think, Castlevania looked beautiful. I can't wait to play through it once you're finished. So
absolutely, I think I might do my very first game review from a written standpoint. And I think one of the things Tony and I are going to be revamping ClassicL337.com. So we're going to have a review page that's going to have videos of all of Tony's reviews, and then also some links for some written reviews that we're going to try to do.
And I also want to thank Video Game Cowboys for posting our reviews.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job. So
that was very cool. I know that I've watched each video once, and we've already got more views than I was expecting at this point. So it's very cool to see some people taking the time to view what Tony's putting up there. So anything to grow the content that Classic Elite's releasing, I'm all for. I just wish we had more hours in the day to do more of it, because it's so much fun.
It's a blast. So check out videogamecowboys.com if you haven't yet. It's a great new gaming site. So.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I'm proud to be associated with them, that's for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, Scott?
Oh, man.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are they ready?
I don't think they're ready.
Oh, you tell them.
Let's wait till another episode.
Another episode? All right.
Never mind. Let's do it right now.
Super Meat Boy!
Super Meat Boy!
We have Edmund and Tommy from Team Meat on this episode of Classic Elite.
If you're listening right now, and if you don't know who that is, then stop playing video games, because you have no clue what's going on in the gaming industry if you don't know who Tommy and Edmund are from Team Meat.
Everybody in the gaming industry right now, particularly in Xbox Live and the indie scene, is raving about Super Meat Boy. And Tony and I, because Tony is the absolute man, were able to sit down for about 25 minutes or so with Team Meat. And for one, the guys are super, super cool. You'd expect guys to be that awesome when they develop a game that sweet.
Yes.
But you know what? I don't think I'd be as down to earth as those guys were. And I can't even express how excited I am to have them on the show, and how cool it was for them to take time out of their day with all that's going on. I mean, Edmund's wife was, before the interview, making plushes for Super Meat Boy. So they are they are full go Super Meat Boy to the max right now, and they still took time to talk about the game with us.
Yep.
So here in just a few minutes, we will be rolling that interview.
I just want to tell our listeners too, like, if you want a couple guys that love gamers, that care about what gamers care about, they're cool, they're indie developers, they work out of their homes, and they just developed this amazing, amazing game. The second best-selling Xbox Live Arcade game of all time so far. Out of all the Xbox Live Arcade games, Super Meat Boy, I think it's going to be number one.
Oh, it's only been out for like a week. It's going to be the one. And everybody loves it.
Everyone loves it. I love it. You love it.
It's well-deserved praise. This isn't some Hollywood, Avatar, or James Cameron type crap. These are two dudes that made just a kick-ass game, and they came on our show to talk about it.
That's right. So here it is, without further ado, our interview with the creators of Super Meat Boy. Welcome back to this very special interview segment of Classic Lead. We have two very special guests on the show with us today. We actually have Team Meat, as they're known online, Edmund and Tommy, the creators behind Super Meat Boy, the wonderful game that's just really sweeping all over the place and just getting rave reviews. And we're excited to have them on the show. How you doing today, guys?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Well, we're going to start just asking you to throw out some answers for us. As we get started, can you guys just give us a quick glimpse on how you started in gaming?
Like how we started gaming in general? Like
Yeah.
when we were kids? My earliest memory of a video game was a handheld football game that my dad had when I was 3. I had no idea how it worked. It was just lights on a screen, little squares that would move around. And you could move. I mean, it was. I could be remembering it incorrectly, but it was essentially you were one of those little squares, and there was a bunch of squares ahead of you, and you had to kind of like get through them all to the other side, and that was the whole game. And that was my earliest memory. And then I got an Atari when I was 7, and I mean from then on it was just obsessive, like needing and wanting to play. I was like the last kid on my block to get a Nintendo, so I would be over at people's houses all hours of the night, early in the morning, breaking into houses to play Mario 1 and 2 and Zelda and yeah. I mean, I didn't have a ton of money when I was younger, so I would do this thing. We had a flea market, and there was a guy at the flea market who would let you upgrade basically. So if you you could trade in your Nintendo and 10 games for a Super Nintendo.
Oh, awesome!
That's what I ended up doing to upgrade, and I actually went. There was one moment where I did trade in my Super Nintendo and all my games to get a Genesis, but then quickly went back to Super Nintendo.
Nice.
But yeah, that was basically my introduction to gaming.
Cool. How about you, Tommy?
We had a Fairchild that had like a tank game and a baseball game that were basically identical. You could control the tank in order to like you would shoot and you could control the bullet, and also when the guy would pitch the ball in the baseball game, you could also control the pitch. So
Okay.
I had that, and then my grandma ended up buying me one of the Nintendos with the robot guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had that. I don't know what happened to the robot guy. I think he broke, and we ended up taking it back to the store because I don't have robot guy anymore.
Yeah, that'd be a nice collector's
Rob.
item to still have.
Yeah, Rab. But yeah, I just played Nintendo, got a Super Nintendo, got a Nintendo 64, just sort of went through the ranks of Nintendo. I had a Genesis, but I didn't have any other Sega system, and I only had 3 games for the Genesis. And that was Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, because it came with the Genesis. That was pretty awesome because it was like, it's a cold and windy day in Miami. And it was all this like weird synthesized shit.
I still remember the commercial for that package deal. So, yeah. That was awesome. So yeah, I was mainly influenced by the Nintendo series as well. So played a ton of Super Nintendo as a kid. So
Super Nintendo was amazing.
How did you guys actually get started in making video games?
Actually, I think both of us started making Flash interactive basic Flash games in like 99, 2000. And that's where I actually met Tommy, or I didn't meet him, but I knew of him back then. And that was through Newgrounds, way back when. And for me, I started making like kind of dress-up dolls and weird interactive stuff. I was known as the guy that made the series Dead Baby Dress Up, which got around way back then, if you were on the internet. Yeah, no, from then it went to I started working on my first independent PC game, which was called Gish, in 2003, and it came out in 2004, and then 2005 it won the grand prize at the IGF, and that kind of like sealed my, sealed me into independent gaming, and from then I just kept making shitloads of Flash games and PC games, and Meat Boy was my first console game.
awesome. Can you give us a little bit of a backstory on Super Meat Boy? Obviously, a huge success. Scott and I both purchased it day one. Really have been enjoying it a lot. How long ago did the idea for Super Meat Boy start, and then how long has it been in development?
Back in 2008, I went through a phase of like really rapid fire Flash games where I was just churning out shitloads of Flash games. And one of the games that I made in about a 2-week period was a game called Meat Boy with a friend of mine named John McEntee. It was his first and only game that he ever did. He was new to programming, and he kind of didn't want to do it anymore after that. And it was really quick. I didn't really think much of it because it was such a basic platformer. It was just a really difficult basic platformer with wall jumping, and that had a bunch of characters that I really liked, and threw it out there, and it quickly became like my most popular Flash game. And then shortly after that, I ended up making a game with Tommy called Gray Matter, which was a shooter, like a bullet hell type shooter, or an anti-shooter. You actually didn't shoot; you would kill things by running into them. But after that, me and Tommy got along really well, and it was around then where I was getting in contact with Nintendo and Microsoft. They were interested in me developing a game, and I didn't know anybody who could really develop for console except for Tommy, who had done it for a living prior. And basically, me and Tommy were like, hey, well, let's try and make a console game. Which game would be the smartest to do at this point? And we just kind of went with the most popular Flash game that I had done, and it just really just mutated out of control. It started out as a pretty small game, and it just got really, really ambitious, and we've been working on it for about 18 months. Right, Tommy?
Correct. Everything he said is correct.
I just need you to validate what I say while you play with Legos.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. God, this is so fucking fun. I don't think anybody realizes how fun this is.
You forget how fun Legos are. You get lost in them. Legos are fucking rad, and that's the reason why Minecraft is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially Legos.
Yeah, it's digital Legos.
We don't want to interrupt your creative Lego design because it could spur the next game that's going to be bigger than Meat Boy. So just go do your thing. It's cool.
It's just going to be called Super Legos.
That's right.
It's going to just be called Legos.
That's right. We just don't need any more like cheesy Lego cover games or anything. So.
Doesn't it blow your mind?
Not tired of Lego Star Wars 9 or whatever the fuck it's out now?
Yeah, when they started creating new Star Wars canon with Legos, I was like, this is enough, So.
Yeah.
I don't understand how Legos became a brand to just put the characters in games. Like, when I first heard about Lego Star Wars, I thought for sure that you'd actually be building things, like really building things in the game. And it blows my mind that they wouldn't capitalize on something like that, where the reason why people love Legos isn't because of the little guys.
Yeah.
It's because they're fucking making cool shit. It's
yeah.
creative.
Yeah, you'd almost expect it to do like a sim style versus like some of the adventure games that they have.
Yeah, seriously, it's just funny because honestly, Minecraft is Legos. That's what Lego could have done if they actually had a designer, on the job who was trying to be innovative. They could have very easily simulated, basically done Minecraft, and it could have been Legos branded Minecraft, and it would have done amazingly, amazingly well. Not like Minecraft has already done super, super amazingly well, but just imagine if it had a Legos brand on it. It just goes to show, the mainstream doesn't. It's scared of taking risks. It's just the idea of a game like Minecraft would never fly because they're like, well, people, maybe people won't like that, or it takes too much work to make complicated things in the game. And I'm sure those are all things that companies talked about when making Lego branded games. Because I'm 100% positive that there were at least people in the boardroom saying maybe we should actually make it like Legos.
So do you guys think, like, going forward, you're going to stick to more of the independent gaming scene, or do you guys have aspirations to, be involved in, like, an Epic Games or one of the big developers?
No.
Yeah. We're not bragging or anything, but we could be working at those places if we wanted to. So, Tommy easily could be the lead programmer at many studios. But the whole goal here is to be able to have creative freedom and be able to take risks. Like Meat Boy would never be picked up and published by a company.
Absolutely.
It's just too strange. It's too risky. And if it was, there's a good chance that it would have not been what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And with independence, you have, obviously you have complete freedom and you're able to take risks and do things the way you want to do them. And it was pretty. The coolest thing about working with Microsoft was the fact that they just stood back and said, "Do what you do," and they didn't really interfere with anything. And we just got to make what we wanted to make, no questions asked. They didn't even care about rating. We were worried, like, both Nintendo and Microsoft might want us to, keep like an E or a T, and we were actually thinking that we might get an M because some of the content is a bit questionable. But in the end, we got a T, and we didn't change shit. So it was like,
nice.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
Well, hey,
We were pretty happy with it.
actually, to go back to the development stuff, a lot of games and platformers in particular fall short when it comes to controls. But every review that I've seen so far and that Tony has read has just praised Super Meat Boy for the controls. I personally really like the wall sliding and just kind of the overall game physics. Is it hard to actually put together a good control scheme like that?
It's not so much hard as it's something you have to pay attention to and you have to be very aware of what you're trying to basically accomplish with it. We wanted something that was perfect for something like the gameplay of Meat Boy, and in order to do that, we needed like good controls, and we needed him to carry momentum up a wall. We needed him to be able to stick to a wall a little bit so you could easily jump back and forth. Like, we needed all of these things in order to make the game, and we were just we obsessed over it for a while, just to make absolute sure that it worked. And it's not so much difficult as it is it just takes just caring about it, just making sure that that's not an excuse or that's not part of the difficulty of the game. Just making sure that it is just a working kind of piece of it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that Tommy did as well was, or both of us, was play a lot of platformers and try to figure out what felt good, what felt bad, and why. I mean, the whole formula of Meat Boy and the reason why it is the way it is was a good year plus of questioning why. Why live systems? Why not make the level shorter so we can ramp up the difficulty? Why not make the respawn instant? Why not make the character stick slightly to the wall so you don't pull away from the wall when you jump from the wall? There's like all these little questions, and basically we just were anal about answering them correctly and making sure that they worked. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that we just played shitloads of games and tried to figure out, what's the best here. We kind of came to the conclusion that obviously Mario 3 probably had the best controls. of any platformer, right? So how could we improve on that? And it was all about tightening up air controls. Like Meat Boy has really, really, really tight air controls. And you can see that in a lot of videos too, where if you start second guessing yourself mid jump, you can totally pull back and avoid things. You have a lot of control in the air. Also, when he lands, he stops. There's not sliding around or anything else like that.
There's been times where I thought for sure I was going to slip off, and that stick feature is just tremendous. I wish that was involved in more games.
It's all about just nitpicking.
Yeah, there's times where it took me a few levels to get used to the controls being so accurate, because I was used to playing crappy platformers over the years that have messed up, and so you account for a jump or you account for stopping points and stuff like that, and so it was actually nice to get used to that and to have a game with good controls. Obviously, the game's been very, very successful. Scott and I have been following your success a lot on Twitter the last few days. And is there anything that surprised you about the success of Meat Boy so far?
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird seeing how it's very hard to find somebody on Twitter that hates it. I've seen 2 out of the past 3 days, and that's out of thousands and thousands of people saying, "Oh my God, this is awesome! Go buy it. This is the best platformer ever." It's eerie, and it's very, very surreal. And then that with the reviews being what they are, yeah, it's odd.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because Scott and I have tried to read a ton of reviews on it, and I've seen almost everything positive, even in the forums. Usually even if a game gets a good review, in the forums, people start tearing it apart for really no reason, and I haven't seen that with this game. I've seen, positive on both ends, the user end and in the companies that are reviewing the game, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's quite weird. Realistically, for me, I honestly felt like we would get, 8s, 8.5s. I thought the game was going to be too hard for people, and I thought people weren't going to be ready to go back to a difficult formula, because people have been playing easy games for so long, and I didn't think that a difficult game would fly at all, let alone a game that looked, old school. I guess we've really passed the time of graphics horrors where it's all about 3D, high poly models and that sort of crazy shit, and people are really defaulting back to gameplay and enjoying that, and I did not think at all that we'd be getting 9s, 9.5s, and 10s. The craziest thing for me is the fact that 6 years ago, I worked at GameStop, and I was selling Game Informers to people, and now the Game Informer gave us a 9 and gave us gold, and that's in that magazine, and that's fucking bizarre.
That's awesome. That's got to be surreal.
Weird. Yeah, it's very, very, very strange. I could go on and on about the reviews, but yeah, overall, it's astoundingly positive, and I had no idea that it would be this positive.
Hey, just to take a quick step back there, when you were talking about the difficulty with the game, and you're thinking maybe it was, or maybe there might be a concern with a lot of gamers thinking it might be too hard, was there a point when you guys were developing where you thought maybe it was just too hard, or did you never consider scaling it back at all?
Yeah, difficulty-wise, on paper and in my head, okay, I swore up and down that this formula would work. That if you removed frustrating features like lives, length of level, and the time it takes to respawn, that people would forget about the actual difficulty of the game and more just throw themselves in and feel more rewarded when they finish it. So I knew the formula here said that I should be able to ramp up the difficulty to extremely high as long as I kept the level short, the respawn time at 0, and the lives infinite.
You guys actually listen to what gamers want then?
What was that?
You actually listen to what gamers want then?
Well, it was more or less listening to what we want. Tommy and me are both making a game that we really, really, really want to play, and that's kind of how we set out. And it's a great way to set out to make a game because, if you can make yourself happy, because, usually the people making the games are going to be the biggest critics of games. If you can make a game that's ideal for you, hopefully it will be ideal for others. And that's kind of how we set out. But, no, yeah, I know Microsoft. I know a lot of business people were very worried about the difficulty. They felt it might be alienating and everything else. I mean, and it was, of course, when other people tell you, "Hey, I'm worried about the difficulty of this game. It's going to alienate people." Of course, you're taken back a bit, but we never made it easier. I feel like the difficulty curve is near perfect. We spent a lot of time on it. I'm very proud of the difficulty curve, and I'm proud of the difficulty and the fact that it makes you feel good when you actually do something and you remember it. It's more and more powerful when you do something difficult and you feel like you've done it yourself. You didn't have somebody holding your hand or explaining exactly how something is done. You did it yourself. You figured it out yourself, and it just feels more rewarding overall. And I think it just makes a more powerful experience overall. So it was important to keep the difficulty hard, and that's basically why we stuck to it.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Scott and I were talking. We really love how it replays all of the lives that you spent on each level. When it's over, that's just a cool little feature. It's been a lot of fun. So, yeah, I mean, we keep plugging away at it, and it hasn't swayed us from playtime or anything at all. So you guys really hit on the head for what some gamers are looking for. So that's good. We do have one more question, and then we'll just kind of close up and let you guys get on your way. But tell us a little bit about the music of the game. What influenced the music of the game?
We just basically said, "Hey, Danny, make awesome shit," and then he did.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean,
Danny's like I wouldn't even say a hidden gem at this point because so many people know about him. But when I met Danny, I felt like I had found the ultimate hidden musician. It's like one of those things where you are searching around online and you find some like indie band that hasn't been signed that sounds just so amazing, and you want to just make sure that you're first at their shows before they make it huge. Like that, it's like when I started hearing Danny's stuff back in Meat Boy time, because he did the music for the original, I was just blown away at how, like, I don't know, his music felt so OCD. Like it seemed so obsessive and just excessive and crazy. Like it seemed so crazy and over the top that I knew I needed this music and stuff that I was making. And he's such a cool guy, and he's a really great guy to work with, and he takes very little direction, like Tommy said. It's basically like, okay, well, it's the hospital, so make it, kind of creepy and go nuts. And he does.
Awesome.
And, within hours, he's got this fucking amazing track. And, we're very, very happy with the music. And hopefully next week the soundtrack will be out, and everybody else will be able to purchase it and listen to it themselves if they want to be listening to it.
Cool. Real quick, I did see on your blog or on the website that you guys are going to be releasing some bonus content. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
With the title update?
Yeah.
So it's still, I guess, a bit fuzzy to most people who even own the game, but the Internet's chapter, which I'm not sure if you've unlocked yet, unlocks at 20 Band-Aids. Have you guys unlocked it?
I have not yet.
At Band-Aids, no. The Band-Aids have given me fits. So I've just today unlocked the Fifth World, but mostly all day. I haven't really gotten to too many of the Dark Worlds either.
Okay. So yeah, I think, Tommy, in the title update, are we gonna make it so if you beat the game, it automatically unlocks the Internets?
It's either beat the game or I'm thinking like beat the second chapter, just because I want people to be able to like play it,
Yeah.
But
I mean,
something like that.
Yeah, one of the reasons I think a lot of people don't know about the Internets is because they haven't unlocked it yet. But hopefully next week most people will have. But basically, the Internets is the chapter that's before the first chapter. And if you've seen it on the little map. And what it is a hub. So when you go there, it'll load up a list of chapters. And these are all bonus chapters. There's one up now called the Butcher Boy, and it's a set of 20 levels that are all retro, and you play as 8-bit Meat Boy. And basically, the Internets is a way for us to upload hundreds of levels free of charge, and just continue to update them over time. And when we do the title update, we're going to also be uploading a new chapter. So there'll be 2 chapters up there, which will up the level count to 360 levels.
Oh, wow.
And we'll also be uploading a new music track for the alt of Chapter 5. And of course, then a bunch of fixes for the little bugs and the save bug that's been an issue as well. Those will all be fixed in the title update, and it's we're looking forward to doing that. I'm actually working on the new chapter right now, and it's going to be pretty freaking awesome. And then every month until the end of the year, we're going to be uploading another chapter. So by the end of the year, the game's going to have 400 plus levels.
Oh wow,
And,
it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean it just keeps going. Like we have a big plan. So the PC version is going to be coming out in about a month, and we're also working on a level editor for it. And we hope to release the level editor soon after launch, because what we want to do is basically make a hub for levels that are submitted. And then what we'll do is we'll take the best of those levels, in case some people that don't own both versions, we'll take the best of the levels submitted by users, and then we'll just throw them up on the Xbox version. Mm-hmm. So we'll even double up those levels, and they'll just be endless user content until we max out, basically, on our 5 megs of space, which we can put a lot of levels up there. So
that's amazing. That's so exciting to hear that you guys are really, it's awesome for us gamers who, game day in and day out, just to have developers like you guys who really, who care about the gamers and giving us more content and not charging us a ton for it. So we appreciate it a lot. So.
Well, yeah, really, like, we are taking advantage of the fact that we're independent, the fact that the cost of development was the cost of living. So we didn't spend over $60,000.
Like it's even. I was thinking about it today. It's like it doesn't even count as an expense because it was just living.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like you never factor in, like, companies don't factor in how much their employees, like, rents cost. They figure out how much they actually need to make or whatever. And so, I mean, in a way, they kind of do, but it wasn't really expense because we would have paid that anyway, regardless if we would have been working on this or if I would have been working at Target or if Ed would have been doing animal control. This is like unavoidable costs,
Yeah.
That's it.
That's awesome. Well, that was the last question I had. Scott, did you have anything else?
No, I just want to say thank you very much for making an awesome game and for giving us the time to talk to you guys about it. And my girlfriend wants me to tell you both how pissed off she is. So I promised that I would let her know directly that she is very frustrated. She actually got to play the game before I did. She had the day off when it was released. I come home and she is just fuming. She's in the second world, and she's just all mad about it. And then when I told her that you guys were going to come on the show, she's like, "Oh, that's awesome. Tell them how pissed off I am." So I'm like, I will let them know.
Yeah, it's a win-lose situation. Scott lost a girlfriend over the game, but he now has more time to play. So
and with the content coming out, I'm not so sad anymore.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things about Meat Boy that we noticed really early on is it does seem like, of course, even though it's hard for everybody, but it does seem very easy for girls to pick up and play, even if they aren't gamers, which is really cool to have something like that. It's basically the game is an extension of Mario when it comes to the ability to pick up and play and the familiarity with a 2D platformer. And I think a lot of girls stopped playing games in Mario 3, and that's really cool to see so many of them really liking the game and also, of course, hating the game and emailing us and tweeting and everything. And like one of the coolest things that happened through launch was the day after launch. I woke up and I realized my wife wasn't in bed, and I came out to the living room and she's been playing Meat Boy and she's on chapter 5, and she's just freaking out basically. I think she died like 280 times in this one level, and but it was just so awesome to have my wife, who isn't a huge gamer, obsessively playing this game that she's seen played and that she's play tested and that she's played for almost 2 years.
That means when it comes out
playing it by herself.
When it comes out on Nintendo Wii, you're going to get 3 million soccer moms who all bought the Wii for Wii Fit.
Yeah, incorporate the balance board for that.
Yeah, that's right. People are going to be making.
Well, we're going to release Meat Boy Pilates.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's happening.
Don't sell out, man. Don't sell out.
Yeah. I don't think you have to worry about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. We'll be posting this episode soon, and we'll be posting links to all of your websites. Are there any other places you want our listeners to check out where you guys are present on the web, or just the main website there?
Yeah, our website, our Twitter, and probably dbsoundworks.com. That's Danny's website.
Okay. All right, well, we will point people that way, and thank you again so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us here on Classic Elite, and you guys have a wonderful rest of the day.
You too.
You too.
Thanks again, guys. All right, and we will be right back to conclude episode 25.
There it was, Scott, live on Classic Elite, episode 25. Edmund and Tommy from Team Meat, the creators of Super Meat Boy. We just want to thank you guys again for being on the show.
Really, can't say enough about the guys. I know we gushed a lot before the interview, so we won't get too much more into it, but we've got Team Meat Fever. We've got the meat sweats, as Man vs. Food calls it. And we got to talk about this game now. What are our own experiences? What do we love about it? And what types of things do we need to make sure that people understand about this game so that they don't get a little too frustrated at times? So I think the biggest thing that we need to bring up, and we talked about this in the interview, how refreshing is it that there are game developers out there that care about gamers? Their free content is incredible that they're releasing. Their DLC is unbelievable, and the fact that it's eventually going to be to over 400 levels on a game that's going to be costing $15, not yet, but it is. Oh my God,
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Well, first of all, we should mention that's our deal of the week this week.
Yeah, so we don't forget about it. Let's just talk about it.
Because we have Meat Fever. Wow, wow, that sounds really not cool out of context. But anyways, we have the meat fever, and all I'm saying is Xbox Live Arcade, you can get Super Meat Boy for $10 until
November 1st,
which is rapidly approaching. So if you
3
want,
days after this is posted. So
yeah, so go out, get Super Meat Boy if you haven't. You will be addicted beyond belief. That's our deal of the week. $10 next week after November 1st. It'll be $15.
I would pay, honestly, I would be willing to pay $100 for this game. And that's not an exaggeration. With all that they're giving you, it's incredible. $15 is still a steal.
Yeah, it's a steal. So, deal of the week, get it. But back to loving the gamers.
Man.
Guys, they're crazy. So, I mean, this is what drives me crazy about the gaming industry is like the cash cows, you know? And especially like at E3, they bring out the presidents of the companies. These guys don't, you can tell they don't play games, you know? These guys do it. They play games every day. They work out of their homes. They care about the gamers. They know what we're feeling, experiencing.
They know what they want. They're
Yeah.
not held to the constraints that the big companies are. And, you know, that was a topic that we did cover in the interview, but it's incredibly important to bring up. And, you know, that's part of the beauty of being independent and being in a type of a society or environment where if you're really good, you can actually make something of yourself without the help of, a big conglomerate or some sort of a big corporation. And for any of our listeners and fans that don't follow Critical Failure on Twitter, definitely go follow Tiger Claw TV at Twitter. But he had an awesome tweet today. And it was, I don't have Twitter up in front of me right now, but it basically was like, Dear Nintendo, Xbox Live is giving away free downloadable content for Super Meat Boy. For the PC, they're going to be allowing level development. Don't screw us over, please, because he doesn't have, he doesn't have a 360, and I think he's probably assuming his PC won't be good enough to run, and he probably wants to play it on his Wii. So it'd be a real shame if Nintendo really sticks it to him, but I don't think they will. After the way those guys were talking, the way that Nintendo and Microsoft were both like, do what you want, we'll trust you, I think Nintendo might be releasing the free updates.
Yeah, this is a big loss for Sony. I don't know what they did or didn't respond, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they didn't fill us in on the details, but
I was listening to some commentary on GameTrailers.com, and they didn't want to get into it either. All that they said there was they like Sony, they like PlayStation, and they said they're going to leave it at that. So unfortunately, there's something behind the scenes, but I mean, I know that like I'm being a Super Meat Boy fanboy right now, but it's almost worth getting the Xbox for.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's good.
So yes, thank you for being awesome to gamers. What's some other stuff that you love about it?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're kind of reviewing the game right now a little bit, so let's just talk a little bit about controls.
Let's get the most obvious thing out of the way first.
You talk about controls. What do you like about the controls?
They're so precise, it's insane. I can't think of a game where you have as good and as pure of control of your character or your sprite in air. So that's number one. Number two, which was covered in the interview, Meat Boy sticks when he lands. There's none of that slipping and sliding because there are some tight little ledges that you need to land on.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that he sticks, like right when you let go of the button, is just fantastic. But if you need a quick jump, it's super responsive, so you don't get stuck to a platform either, which is something that might have been lost in the way that we were talking about it. And then something that's incredibly innovative is the wall slide.
Oh, yeah.
Where if you run up to a wall and you hold down the jump button, you actually slide up the wall.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
What that allows you to do is it allows so many different and creative ways for you to get around the level that it makes it incredibly addicting, and it also it makes you really analyze every single nook and cranny of the level to see how the heck you're going to get around some buzzsaws or how you're going to get through some cracks. And you find that when you really start to perfect that wall slide, man, the whole game just opens up. It's fantastic. What are some of your favorite controls?
Well, I think you hit all the good stuff on controls. I was going to talk a little bit about level design.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love the level design. I mean, I love the fact that there's over 300 levels included with the initial set, which is amazing to me. And each, there's so many different levels in each. I think there's 7 worlds. Is that correct?
I'm at 5. I think that there might be 2 more.
Okay, so somewhere around there. So it's cool because you get like a different set of challenges in each world, and they kind of increase through the levels of that world. And I love how in each level you can earn an A+ ranking, or just finish it normally, or there's also warp zones and bandages to collect. And they really kept it simple, but hard as hell and enticing at the same time. I'm trying to think of how to describe it, because when you play Super Meat Boy, like, you could play the same level 300 times, and for some reason you will not put the controller down until you get through it.
Yeah.
We're not talking about giant Mario type levels here. We're talking about 10-second levels. The levels are small in context. They're not huge, but the challenge is to get through each one, and that's why there's so many levels, and they're going to be adding more. It's cool, and I love that they're letting gamers, another cool thing, design levels once the PC version comes out, and then the best levels, the highest rated levels from the PC version will be ported to the Wii and to the 360.
That's incredible. And that was something that I didn't read on SuperMeatBoy.com blog. I didn't realize that they were going to do that, so I was speechless when they were talking about that. It was like they heard every gamer sit around and go, wouldn't it be cool if...
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like they even took the flamers from the forums and made them happy.
Yeah.
We were talking about in the interview with them. It's amazing that I haven't seen anyone say anything bad about them. Not even in the forums. So it's really cool. They've met the gamers' needs. The level design was amazing. The controls were unbelievably on spot, and they just designed a game for gamers. It's like by gamers for gamers.
It is, and it pays. There's lots of detail of course, with the game as it is, but you see nuances where there are throwbacks. My favorite one so far has been the Mega Man 2 throwback. Do you remember if in Mega Man 2 when the title screen came up? If you didn't press start and it would show a zoom going up a skyscraper and then Mega Man sitting up at the top, they have that cutscene with Meat Boy. And they have like Ninja Gaiden cutscenes in there. And they have all these cool little details. And then in the warp zones, they actually have some Atari 2600 type levels that you had mentioned about.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about the episode, or last episode when we talked about that stuff. And the Game Boy levels are really cool. There's unlockable characters, and the characters give you different abilities that allow you to get through the level easier. So far, the only one I've unlocked is Bit Trip Runner. I don't know if you've ever played that on Wii. Probably not. I think that they started releasing the Bit Trip.
I have Bit Trip Beats on my iPad.
Okay. Well, the guy just, I don't know, he works so well, and he's slower, but then at the same time, he hovers if you need him to. So it just adds a whole different type of gameplay and a different way and a more creative way to beat some of the levels. So, the details to I know I got off topic there, but the details to what clearly inspired the game are there, and they're prevalent, and they're not shy about it, and they're open that, they tested tons and tons and tons of platforms to figure out what controls they like best.
Yeah, and I got so excited when we were talking with them because Scott and I are both around the age of 30, and although this game is going to be enjoyed by all ages, and I know tons of people are loving it, it's extra special to our generation because it encompasses all those retro games that influenced us, that we still love to play, and we've talked about this before. You take like my 16-year-old nephew, he doesn't know what a Super Nintendo is and has no respect for it. We know what it was. We grew up on it, and these guys did too. They talked about it in the interview, and it's just amazing how all those influences are seen in this game. It's cool. It encompasses retro, modern, amazing platforming, great controls, everything. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's funny. There's some good humor in the game too.
Oh yeah.
And they had talked about maybe expecting a little bit of an M rating, and I would have been surprised if this was given an M. Yes, there's some stuff that you might not want some young kids to see. There's some middle fingers and there's blood, but it's cartoon blood. And, there's lovable little characters, and you can actually see a story being told, and there's no dialogue. You don't have any voices from Dr. Fetus and from Meat Boy or Bandage Girl or whatever her name is. You don't see any dialogue, but yet the story kind of progresses, and you really buy into the fact that the Super Meat Boy is just this little kick-ass hero. He just is this little guy that won't quit.
Yeah.
And with how precise, not to go back to the controls, but it gets you incredibly immersed in the game. And going back to last episode when we were talking to Nintendo Legend, he brought up an article from the Artful Gamer that talked about his nephew struggling with the Game Boy. And I hope the Artful Gamer lets his little nephew play this game.
Oh, yeah.
It gets you immersed.
For sure.
So the fact that it really will eat away like 2 or 3 hours at a time, and before you know it, you've died like 200 times on a level, and you're not even like mad about it.
So, Scott, 1 being the lowest, being like beef in a cat food can.
Okay.
10 being the highest, being like a filet mignon at the finest restaurant in the world. Where do you rank Super Meat Boy on the meat scale?
It's the finest meat available. It's Kobe beef. It has been aged for years. Whatever the high quality beef is, it's perfect. It's a 10 out of 10. It does not get better. It's 5 stars.
Does meat age?
Yeah, you can get like aged beef.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Where you like wrap it in cheesecloth, and then you like put it in a fridge at like 32 degrees or like 38 degrees or something like that. And then it kind of grows almost like a mold or like rottenness on the outside, and you cut that away, and it's supposed to be like the absolute best. It's like when you have a $60 or $100 steak and it's aged beef, like it's like 6 months old or a year old or something like that. But this is perfect. He's looking at me like I'm crazy. We're gonna Google it when it's done.
Not all of us grew up a rich kid, Scott.
Yeah, Mr. iPad. So we have.
I had aged beef at 5.
Just because I watched the Food Network does not mean I grew up on aged beef.
You hear that? He is lame. He watched. No, I'm joking.
Hey, guy, whatever his name is, that does diners, drives, and dives or whatever that is.
We watched it too. I'm joking.
Fantastic. But he's the one that did a little documentary on aged beef. That's why I knew about it. Anyways, this is the coolest platformer I've played since I've been a little kid, and I'm a platformer junkie. Like I actually feel bad for Sonic, man, because I love Sonic.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Gooch and the Douchebag Radio and you hear how much we really care about Sonic and the franchise.
I haven't touched it since Super Meat Boy came out.
I'm done with Sonic until episode 2.
I think that does it for episode 25. Is there anything else?
Let's see. How are people going to get a hold of us?
I don't know.
I think we could have them visit ClassicLeap.com.
That would be a good thing.
Classic L337.
Or they could follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/ClassicLeap. Or they can email us.
ClassicLeap@gmail.com.
Or just listen to us on GNet Radio.
GNet Radio. MyGNetRadio.com.
My Gamer Network Radio.
No, it's MyGNetRadio.com. It's GamerNetworkRadio.com or MyGNetRadio.com.
Oh, never mind.
Take my word for it, Tony.
I go there all the time.
Because you have it on your, you have it bookmarked.
Oh, that's right.
You hit my and it just pops up for you. So, Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. That is when we air. And man, Super Meat Boy, go download it now. Even if you're listening to this from archive.org, from, and it's the year 2022, go download Super Meat Boy 5 right now. Just go get it.
Homie, don't play that. Don't fake the funk on a nasty dunk.
Edmund and Tommy, thank you very, very much again for being guests on Classic Leap. You guys are a blast. You deserve all the success that you've been given, and we wish you the best going forward. By the way, thank you for all the free stuff that you're going to let us download through Xbox Live Arcade. And everybody, thanks a lot for listening. I know that we rambled like giddy little schoolboys.
Because we are.
Oh, this game it's that good. It's like Christmas when we were kids. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening to Classic Elite. And don't forget to check out Tony's kick butt reviews on iPad games. If you're just missing a little Classic Elite, go check us out on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody, thanks a lot.